Are you ready for one more turn? Our #1 most wanted game is the newest entry in a legendary series that's been around for a heck of a long time. Or should I say, a hex of a long time. This is the game that received the highest voting totals from our expert council of developers, critics, and content creators.
Beating even the likes of Grand Theft Auto 6, Sid Meier's Civilization 7 has taken the top spot at PC gaming shows most wanted games for 2024, releasing of course next year. And there were a lot of great insights in this presentation, largely from this man.
Using the wisdom that they have gained from weathering the tumultuous ages of the games industry, the Council have decreed Sid Meier's Civilization 7 to be the most wanted game of 2024.
And sure, Sid Meier may or may not have sat on said council, but putting that to one side, we learned quite a bit about the inspiration of Civ 7, the design, what they're trying to do. I'm going to show you my highlights, and in this first brief section, we hear about designing a new, worthy Civ game, as well as how it may challenge us players who never quite managed to finish a game of Civilization 6. Have a listen.
For us, it's very important that a new chapter in the Civilization franchise has to be sort of just as epic as the game is. We can't just iterate a teeny little bit in certain areas, polish up the graphics. That's not worthy of another chapter in the Civilization story. If you look back over the whole course of the franchise, has been a constant is that each major new version does innovate and does take a few things that maybe were standard and were established and goes ahead and uproots those in the service of getting to the next major milestone for the series. We had a lot of data that people would play Civilization games and they would never get all the way to the end. They just wouldn't finish them. And so we wanted to do whatever we could, whether it was reducing micromanagement, restructuring the game, really address that problem directly. So there are a lot of little systemic refinements that we've gone through, and by and large, most of them thoughtfully look at where the player was investing their time and think about whether there's a better way to make that a little bit more streamlined.
And that was Ed Beach, of course, creative director of the Civilization franchise, reflecting a little bit on something we've discussed previously, the design approach that they've taken of thirds. 1/3 should stay the same from previous games, the core. Another third, perhaps polished, adjusted, and 1/3, that final one, change, new mechanics. And throughout this sort of brief presentation, whatever you want to call it, live stream, they talked, of course, about stuff we already know. The game will have 3 ages. You'll change civilizations as you move through them. I don't think I need to reinforce that here again. However, there were some great insights from Andrew Johnson on how they've selected the civilizations that they're adding to Civ 7. And Ed Beach again on challenging us as players to rethink what it means to build an empire through history.
And so we have to think about what is going on at different points in the world at different points in time. And once we kind of get those broad sense of global dynamics down, who are the major world powers here? Who are the big influences on the global stage at each one of these points in history? That's really a place where we can build a composite picture of the processes and dynamics that are kind of co-creating and shaping the world.
We felt like for the big core historical Civ experience, breaking it up to 3 chapters was the right way to dig deep into making that the best representation of that chapter of history that we possibly can. We're challenging players to not look at the history of an empire as something that started in 4000 BC, made it to the present, and is going on without end. It's not really very reflective of the way things work in real history. Now there's so many different combinations, and you can choose, science civs from different places in the world and link them together for your playthrough, and we have to figure out how those attach to leaders, which aren't necessarily hardwired into civs anymore. But that all just becomes part of the long journey that you have building up your empire, and it does feel like one continuous journey, and that Civ moment to moment, one more turn gameplay, we've made sure that we've got plenty of that still baked in there.
Some very interesting insights baked in there. And while I might have joked at the start here about Sid being on the council that voted for his game to be #1, it's kind of tongue-in-cheek, because of course the actual serious take-home message here is really just one of congratulations. Congratulations to Firaxis. The #1 spot, beating out games with hundreds of millions of views on their trailer. Though, granted, those games might just suck. They might not have had anything new to say. or maybe they're more focused on a console audience. I'm not sure. Nonetheless, they've done it. Taken out the most wanted spot for the year, and I'm pleased to say that's not the only news we have today. They also revealed what is perhaps the most interesting, certainly the most flexible leader we've seen so far for Civ 7. Just before that though, much earlier in the stream, they revealed one other intriguing detail about a very special Civilization 7 PC. Have a listen.
Thousands of fans voted on the Civilization age they were most excited to see recreated into a custom, one-of-a-kind PC. And your voices were heard loud and clear. The winner was the modern age. PC Gamer, in partnership with 2K Games, will be building this unique PC and giving it away to one very lucky sweepstakes winner. The winner will also receive a $2,500 travel voucher so they can visit a real wonder of the world before building it in Civilization 7.
Very cool. If you win and you don't want that travel voucher, hook me up. Anyway, lame gags aside, let's focus in on the new leader, which initially when I first saw it revealed, I thought, is that a typo? This, my friends, is Ibn Battuta, a scholar, chronicler from the 14th century who traveled the Muslim world, an expansionist wildcard leader. Wildcard? What does that mean? We'll get to it in a moment. Firstly, this dude has a starting bias for flat maps, and also has an inkling, a liking toward other leaders who have revealed a lot of the map. Where the wildcard thing comes in is right here with the leader attribute system. At the start of each age, when you unlock its first civic, you'll gain 2 wildcard attribute points to assign to your leader. As a reminder, you keep these as you move through the ages. The buffs that you select are maintained. And of course, you could pick up more using your legacy points, your kind of victory points from each age. So these options are available to every leader. However, Ibn gets a lot of them, 6, through the game. And this will allow you to customize your strategy and playstyle in a much more detailed way. Here we can see the diplomatic ones, happiness, influence generation, largely the focus, as well as expanding celebrations. On the economic front, we see gold per age, per tech, per settlement, on resources, loads of gold-based bonuses. And honestly, this is one of the first times, probably the best look at these. Moving through to the third freeze frame, you can see the expansionist one, producing settlers, food on warehouse buildings, there's plenty of those, population in new towns, as you might expect, and finally scientific, science per age on the palace, plus 25% science towards those masteries, those double research, or plus 1 science per age on each quarter. These benefits seem very strong, and if you can break your way through one of the trees, I suspect, focusing down one, you're going to unlock a lot of extra strength with this dude. And these science ones look particularly strong to me. I don't know about you. Am I off the pulse there? Either way, he also receives plus 1 sight for all units, which might not seem massive, but that is actually, I think, quite strong. Moreover, down the bottom here, you see a unique endeavor called trade maps that allows him to gradually see other players, other leaders' explored area. An endeavor is a new term to me, not one we've heard mentioned much before, and in a nutshell, this ability kind of allows you to sort of steal the map knowledge from others effectively, right? Slowly hoover it up. Lots of interesting stuff. I'm going to go out and say maybe the most interesting leader that has been revealed so far, and as I mentioned earlier, definitely the most flexible. Thank you for joining me in today's video. If you'd like to donate to the Jingle Jam, keys are still available if you donate 35 quid or more to get all of those wonderful free games. It's running for about another week, and I'm pleased to say we've hit our initial target, and we might make it towards the stretch goal of £1,000 for charity. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you next time.